August 7th, 2013, 5 o'clock in the morning, the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport arrivals terminal is engulfed in fire. Firefighters from the Kenya Airports Authority, the military, the Nairobi County, and private security firms battled the raging fire that was fast spreading to other areas of the airport, while the police and other security agencies provided the much-needed security and clearance of the roads for easy access of extra emergency and evacuation services. Passengers and all airport staff were safely evacuated, and thanks to the quick response by the Kenya Airport Authority safety and security units and ground flight safety, no casualties were reported. All planes parked at the gates were pushed back to safe areas. Transport and Infrastructure Cabinet Secretary Engineer Michael Kamau, together with his interior counterpart Joseph Olelenku, accompanied by the Inspector General of Police, would be amongst the first government officials to arrive at the airport to coordinate rescue operations. President Uhuru Kenyatta would later join them. 5 hours later, the fire was contained and the International Arrivals Unit had been gutted down. Passengers had to shelve their travel plans for the time being, airlines had to be diverted to other airports, and flights cancelled. But this would not be a permanent situation, since with the airport closure, one thing was evident: Kenya Airports Authority had to work round the clock to restore normalcy at the airport. Under the leadership and guidance of Engineer Michael Kamau, Cabinet Secretary for Transport and Infrastructure, daily emergency management and business continuity meetings were instituted to look into various strategies towards getting the airport back to full operations. These meetings would serve as the decision-making team as provided for under the JKIA Airport Emergency Plan. Makeshift plans were quickly put in place. Tents complete with the required amenities were put up at the airside area to act as holding areas for the travelling international passengers. Kenya Airports Authority acquired display screens to act as an alternative of the flight information display systems that were damaged by the fire. Passenger facilitation plans were also put in place to ferry arriving passengers and drop them at the respective holding tents, where they would be cleared by immigration and other relevant authorities. Even at times of crisis and emergency, passenger security is key and has to be observed and maintained. Thus, mobile scan van services was made available as a stopgap measure for passenger screening at all major points. Under the directive of the President, the presidential pavilion that serves as the holding area for visiting guests of the state was converted to an international arrival area for the national carrier Kenya Airways and KLM passengers. Within a span of 12 hours since the fire incident, partial operations had been confirmed to resume. Cargo flights scheduled to depart on the evening of 7th August were cleared to do so. Domestic flights arrivals and departures resumed via Unit 3, which had not been damaged by fire. Airport Emergency Operations Team got to work to prepare Unit 2 and 3 for international arrivals and departures the soonest they could. And true to their efforts and commitment, by 8th of August morning, barely 24 hours since the fire incident, the national carrier Kenya Airways international flights from Bangkok and Paris were received at the airport.
The only indication I can give you is that KQ is operating at 35% capacity, and this will be restored towards midnight to its full capacity. The airport will be open for all other airlines from midnight to night. As I explained, we are going to operate our domestic terminal from the cargo terminal.
With the airport operating at 35% capacity, efforts shifted to medium-term solutions to ensure the airport resumed 100% operation capacity. Domestic flights departures and arrivals were relocated to the airport cargo area, and following the relocation, the Unit 3 domestic arrivals area was converted to serve as the international departures terminal with immediate effect. 15th August 2013, a week after the fire incident, the International Civil Aviation Organization Eastern and South African Office, led by their regional director Mr. Meshesha Belanye, visited the Emergency Operations Center and the temporary facilities of the airport, and upon their assessment was satisfied with the performance of both the Kenya Airports Authority and the regulator Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. 3 days after the fire incident, President Uhuru Kenyatta toured the airport to assess the recovery progress so far.
Let me say that I'm quite happy with the progress that has been made. Airport capacity is up to about 70%. Safety and security has also been significantly enhanced. And indeed, we are grateful to all passengers for their patience and understanding. Investigations are ongoing. Our own security services and agents from other friendly nations are involved in the investigations. But we can now at least adequately confirm that there was no element of a terror incident in this fire. To enhance passenger comfort, in addition to the facilities that we have made available, we will be building a temporary terminal with a capacity of 2.5 million passengers, and we expect this to be ready in the coming weeks. At this juncture, I would also want to thank and recognize the massive support, including financial, security equipment, and others, from lending institutions and friendly governments to get this important regional hub back to full operations, and indeed we are very grateful to them.
10 days after the inferno, on the 18th of August, the President, together with his contingent, would use the same airport to depart for official duty in Russia and China, and later return to the country via the same airport. In an effort to facilitate media reporting from an informed perspective, on August 19th, 12 days after the fire incident, Transport and Infrastructure Principal Secretary Mr. Nduva Muli, accompanied by Kenya Airways CEO, Director General Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, Acting Managing Director Kenya Airport Authority, and others, took all major media editors on a tour on various facilities at the airport.
As you are aware, following the fire that affected and disrupted Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, services were disrupted, but we have now operational. However, we want to improve the quality and quantity of services that JKIA can deliver. We're using this opportunity to really make JKIA an improved airport, quality airport that will serve as Africa's hub, as it has always done.
Currently, the new JKIA parking garage basement and ground floors are being modified to serve as a temporary international arrival terminal and baggage area respectively for a period of 3 months or less to ease international passengers' discomfort. Besides this short-term fallback plan, KAA also plans to put up a temporary terminal which have a 2.5 million passenger capacity annually.
So what we're talking about, a temporary terminal, is not similar to tents. We're talking about a terminal that will look in every way and means as a terminal. These sort of facilities have been used in other countries, for example in South Africa during the World Cup. They are put up quite quickly, and we expect between 8 and 12 weeks we can have a temporary terminal, which is a permanent structure that will give us about 3 years of life in terms of servicing our airport.
With operations back to full capacity at the airport, normalizing the national carry operations is KIA's #1 priority, and thus effective midnight 21st August, after thorough safety testing and approvals by the environmental body NEMA, Kenya Airways passengers began using fully Unit 2 for some of its international departures.
We have already now come back to where we were in terms of passenger numbers. In fact, on Saturday, we carried 11,900. Yesterday, we carried 12,960 passengers, which could be a record for us.
Other airlines have since relocated to Unit 3. Unit 1 terminal, which sustained some damage, was released back to KIA on Monday 19th August 2013, and they immediately embarked on preparing the departure lounge for use. By August 27th, the Unit 1 was opened for airlines and is now fully functional. For the different airlines and relevant airport services related authorities that had their offices destroyed by the fire at the international arrivals terminals, efforts are in place to provide temporary office space for them at the parking garage rooftop once the contractor is done with setup.
JKIA garage should now be at about 50% because all the walls are now up.
The fate of the terminal damaged by fire remains unknown. Assessing the overall cost of damage to the airport infrastructure perhaps will take a bit longer, since the authority is yet to ascertain whether certain portions or the entire unit building will be brought down.
The terminals that were affected by fire are still under structural testing. So a decision on where there was great intensity of fire is still under testing. We'll be able to give you probably that at our next briefing.
By and large, all airport business operations have resumed normal, and according to the Kenya Tourism Board, who are set to host 3 international conferences in September 2013, where both delegates and their cargo will pass through JKIA, business confidence is back.
JKIA is up and running. There's a lot of future and good hope for JKIA. We are working 24 hours to ensure that our passengers get a quality experience at JKIA, including safety, which is one of our key issues.